My next patron question is from Joey, who wants to know why a pair of cartoon characters are more popular in one guise over another. If TV tropes is to be believed, the Disney characters Chip and Dale tend to be more beloved for their roles in the TV series Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers rather than their original appearances in the classic Disney cartoons, as their tenure as foes for Donald Duck and Pluto are considered to be among the more disposable of the old Disney cartoons. I've even seen a couple people who said they hated them in their old Disney cartoon appearances but loved them in Rescue Rangers. Why do you think Chip and Dale are more beloved for their roles in Rescue Rangers than as foes for Donald and Pluto? I admit to not being aware of this preference for Chip and Dale in their Rescue Ranger roles, though thinking about it, I guess I can understand why that might be the more popular version of them. For one thing, the majority of people might be more familiar with their television show than the cartoons they originated, likely because networks like Disney Channel or Family Channel aired the series more than their theatrical shorts. So when they think of the characters, it's those incarnations that come to mind. If you attach yourself to one version of a character, it might be odd to see them in another way even if that was how they originally started life as. For example, when most people think of the Addams Family, they tend to think of their depiction in the Barry Sonnenfeld movies. I've seen confused posts from apparent fans of the characters who are thrown off when they see a Gomez that does not match the Raul Julia version like the one in the original New Yorker cartoons, or when they come across the Happier Wednesday depicted in the 60s television series as opposed to the deadpan and sullen Wednesday popularized by Christina Ricci. After watching 65 episodes of Chip and Dale solving crimes that go slipping through the cracks, it would probably feel odd to go back to their original cartoons where they're naked and messing with Pluto and Donald Duck. Their personalities were also slightly altered for the television series to fit with the concept of the show where they're crime fighters and helping animals in need. In fact, they were not even the original stars of the show, as Tad Stones originally developed it as a series based on The Rescuers. Then he devised original characters to lead it, and finally, at Michael Eisner's suggestion, Chip and Dale became the central figures. And with their outfits and the way they worked with the other characters, it's easy to see why these became instantly recognizable versions of Chip and Dale for many people. It must feel odd to go back and see the original shorts where they're often depicted as troublemakers messing with the other Disney characters. Although as a child I grew up being familiar with both the Rescue Rangers versions and the classic cartoon versions of the characters, and enjoyed their antics in both of them. While the Rescue Rangers would eventually become the more popular version, the original incarnations were heartily disliked. They were even quite popular during the 40s and 50s, although that was probably helped by them often being paired with Donald Duck, who was arguably the most successful of the classic Disney characters at the time. 3 of their cartoons were nominated for the Oscar for Best Animated Short, and Working for Peanuts was even released in 3D. Meanwhile, people in Sweden are accustomed to seeing the classic versions every year, as the short Pluto's Christmas Tree is shown annually as part of an extremely popular Disney Christmas special. So there are definitely those out there who have a fondness for their original versions. Recently, Disney even produced a new series titled Chip and Dale Park Life, which brought the duo back to their roots. I will say it was odd that the recent Rescue Rangers movie seemed to completely ignore their appearances in the original cartoons. It has them originally meeting in the early 80s and then pitching the television series some years later. So did they not battle with Pluto and Donald decades earlier in this universe? That was the main question I had after watching it. Interesting enough, Tad Stones had the best defense towards people outraged at some of the alterations of the characters in that movie. He pointed out that if he and Disney believed the characters should remain stagnant, then Chip and Dale would have never become the Rescue Rangers people hold so dear, and we would still only know them for their battles with Pluto and Donald. Personally, I think there's merit in all the versions of Chip and Dale we've seen over the years, and you can choose to either watch them as crime solvers or serving as foils with other beloved Disney characters. Thank you for your question, Joey.